on the screen even because I'm just such a nice guy, where everybody else can see it too. 1A, Coach Short, Kevin, tell us about 1A semifinals there. We had Leroy, Milry, and Pickens and Coosa Christian.
Yeah, the surprise for me last year was Milry. That was a surprise for everybody. I think everybody else was not a surprise, but Milry just getting there. And, they actually held their own with Leroy because Leroy didn't score till late in the game to make it 28-11. So that was – I will say this. Milry, if they could have got by that game, would have had a very good opportunity to win it themselves.
Now, they've had good teams before, haven't they, Coach?
Yes, they have. It's just been a couple of years since they have.
And I think their quarterback was very good last year.
He was, and that's what happens a lot of time in your 1A, 2A ball. Somebody will ride one or two players for 3 or 4 years, and you see that a lot of times. Whereas you'll look, the first thing you have to do is like, I'm looking at these scores, but now I'm going to look and see how many seniors did they have, or in today's game, how many of them have moved somewhere else.
Right.
That doesn't happen as much in 1A, 2A as it does from 3A on up, but it does happen some. So when you start talking about teams and what they're going to be next year, I have to almost look now and go watch them in a 7-on-7 and say, hey, where's your quarterback coming back? Oh, he's moved. He's gone somewhere else.
Oh, Lord.
That's the thing now. We all know that.
Leroy was absolutely loaded last year. I mean, they seem to be anyway. Of course, they've won several state championships.
Yeah, and the thing about when you look at the Leroy is not only do they win it in football, but they're always competing in basketball, and they always compete in baseball too. They've won state championships in baseball too. Leroy has. So
they're very good in baseball, right?
Oh, yes,
Sweetwater
yes,
is too, right?
Yes, that part of the state is always has been.
Huh? I forgot about it. Now they're right next to each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ramburn has played those guys before when they were in the state finals before in baseball.
Wow.
And it would be those people, Sweetwater, Leroy, all those Southwest where the dirt is black. That's where those players are at. Thomasville, they've been good. They're not 1A, but that part of the state's always been good in football and baseball.
Well, Leroy's actually had a guy play pro football. That's the size of Cedar Bluff, and they've had a guy, Sammy Coates.
Yeah, played at Auburn.
Played at Auburn.
Steelers did actually played a lot for the Steelers.
Kevin, what about around there, your area there? We was looking at the screen, that other semi game, Pickens County, Coosa Christian. What a game that was, 44-40 was final. Talked to O'Brien, and he's moved on from it. And he said they have not quit working since that day after. They have continued to work, and they're prepared to get back to that, to get another chance at it.
That was an amazing year because I watched their playoff run. Earlier in the year, earlier in the second round of playoffs, they beat a Spring Garden team that beat them 27-0 in the regular season. And one thing about Coach O'Brien, he scheduled hard non-region games to prepare them for games like what they faced in the postseason. And like I said, I'm not as familiar with some of the high school rules as I am the college, but every time I look at that touchdown pass, I'm like, or that catch, I'm like, the guy landed at the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a heartbreaking, but Coach, he's got them on fire. And I know that was probably their advantage thing for the off season, their strength and conditioning to get better. And I've joked with him before over the last several months. I said, I'm going to pick you guys to get in the 1A title game. And if they keep playing like they do, they could very well get to the semifinal and make it to the championship game in Tuscaloosa.
Well, Pickens, they've won it, and they've just always had a good squad. Pickens.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, Pickens County's always been known to play a very physical brand of football with a lot of athletes, from year to year. The thing that I was impressed to hear, and I wanted to hear, so you mentioned it, Matt, was Coosa. That was a very heartbreaking loss. A lot of times when you get to a game like that and you lose, it takes a while to get over it. And I'm not talking about a couple of months. No. A lot of times it can affect a program for years when they have a loss like that. So it's very encouraging to hear that they have gotten over that. They flushed it down the commode and they're working toward the next one. So what that tells me is they must have a good group of juniors and sophomores last year that are leaders, and they want to do whatever it takes to get back. And again, once the season gets going and you get a couple of games in, then you'll start finding out maybe there was some guys that we didn't even know they're there now, or maybe they've lost one or two. So I know they're excited about the opportunity, but I will say this: they're going to have to work their butts off to get there, because to me they're going to have a pretty good region this year, and they've got some other teams that may have something to say about that.
Yeah, and if y'all want to, people watching, if you want to see the interview, watch that with Coach O'Brien. Like I said earlier, he had a race to go to in Atlanta, so he was kind of traveling and called and said, "Hey, can we do this, on the fly?" And I said, "Absolutely, man." Just to run down their schedule, if y'all want to look, the 24th, they're going to be on the road. First 3 weeks, they're going to be at Geraldine, at Spring Garden, at Galesville, and then they're going to come home and play Decatur. Then they're going to be the 22nd. They'll be at Coach Hammon, which we're going to talk to him here in just a few minutes. And Decatur Heritage at home. At Valley Head. And then the 29th, he told me about this Heritage Academy. He's out of Mississippi.
I've never.
They
heard of them.
Coach Probst got in to know one of the coaches and the guy that was there, whatever in the story. So they got hooked up to play them. And he told me actually that he wants me to come down and call plays in this game. So if they lose the game, that it'll be my fault. So he's just kidding.
Are they as good as that Gatlinburg Pittman?
Better, he said.
I guess Notre Dame wasn't available.
Yes. The 13th, they'll be hosting Cedar Bluff, which Coach Crane, new coach right there, congrats to him. Then at Appalachian, we talked about them a little bit in depth. Again, go back on YouTube when this is over. I'm going to try to get it posted up tonight. And then they'll be Woodville, and they'll finish at Victory Christian. So, and Appalachian is the team in that region there. They're going to be good, man, because I know my son's senior year, when Marcus and Preston went up there and played them, they beat them pretty good, but they were like a lot of 9th and 10th graders. Now, all that class is mostly seniors. So Appalachian is going to have a great crew, and Coach O'Brien talked candidly about going up there and what it's like to play down there in the bowl. Guys, what do y'all think about some of those games I've mentioned there for Coosa?
Oh, number one, excuse me there, Kevin. I'm so used to just talking.
No, you do.
That number one, Geraldine. To me, that's a game right off the bat that you need to look at and see how well they compete in that game. How they going to compete, how they going to play. And then, the next week is going to be a knockdown drag out when you play Spring Garden. Whoever the coach may be, it's going to be a knockdown drag out type game. And then you have to go the same type of game with Galesville. So to me, then they have Decatur Heritage. I mean, my goodness gracious, that the games they're going to play, as far as it's going to be a heck of a schedule. They got to make sure, they got to make sure that they're going to have enough ball players left about Game 7 in order to get through it. And that's always that way in 1A. Injuries, do you have some depth? And I think that's going to be the difference this year between Coosa and what they were last year. Is they're going to probably have a little bit more depth at certain positions.
They are. Everybody on their defense is under a 5 flat. That's what Teddy told me. So they're going to be fast this year. Cleats put on some weight. The Mackey boy, remember all the tackles he had? Oh, yeah. He's back.
Yeah.
Okay, and they added the kid from Ragland's going to play defensive end on the other end. So look for Coosa to be they're going to be better this year.
Well, Coach Short, I was going to ask you, do you think that the outcome would have – do you think Coosa could have played Leroy better? I mean, Leroy handled Pickens very easily.
Just honestly, it probably would have been the same type of game because Leroy was so much a lot of depth. From what I hear, Leroy only played 5 guys both ways. That's unbelievable in 1A to be able to have that many players playing at the same time. So Leroy had a lot of speed, had a lot of size, and that would have made a lot of difference. You talk about Coosa having a lot of guys that are running under 5 flat. Leroy and those teams out of the South have that every year. So
they got guys on the bench running under 5 flat,
waiting for their chance to play. So the key to it is by playing the game against a team from Mississippi, they're going to have to play a couple of games before you actually get into a finals against people that can run, because you don't want to find yourself after a whole quarter that you're down by 2 touchdowns just because of the speed of the game is so much faster, and you got to get used to it. So that is a great ploy for them, playing somebody that'll be a lot faster than them. So they can say, hey, guys, this is what we got to do. We got to be fast. We are. You might be the fastest in the world, but you don't – unless you ever have to use it, then you don't know if it can come out. It's like a race car.
Look at the first game. I mean, the first game's up. That's a tough test.
Yes, it will be.
Geraldine there.
Yeah, especially on the physicality side of it.
What do y'all think about the the outcome. Todd asked, could Coosa have played Leroy better? With the Milry being a surprise there, was there any surprise to you, Kevin, of Leroy just kind of seeming to dominate against Milry?
Well, like I said, I was kind of surprised because I've always followed the Sweetwater program, and the week before, Milry just destroyed Sweetwater. And to be honest with you, I thought they would beat Leroy, and I totally blew that one. But Leroy they've always got good athletes, and just to be able to do, like I said, like Coach said, just what they were able to do to Pickens County in the championship game, they were just on fire.
What was that final score?
41-6. And they're on the screen. Y'all can highlight it there. Milry, for podcast listeners, 41-6 was the semi there. It beat Sweetwater. Very surprising for me personally. We've all talked about Sweetwater is they won their first state title in '77, the year I was born. So they're definitely a dominant program.
The thing you have to watch for somebody in every classification is the teams that have been there before. They're usually the teams that can get there again a lot easier. You have these teams that they come along, and we used to, as coaches, when we went down to our meetings that first Saturday, we would get there and you'd look around, it's the same guys. It's the same teams over and over and over. But every once in a while, you'll have that one-hit wonder. They've got a bunch of seniors that have been good for 3 or 4 years, and they can get there. But what can they do once they get there? That's the key. You have to somehow, unless you're just that much better. That's why if I was betting and when I pick for those guys that have been there before a lot of times, because the experience of being there is just so invaluable, especially playing in the stadiums that they play in now. Back a long time ago, it used to be you would play one year we played T.R. Miller in '94 at T.R. Miller in the state finals. But then the next time I played in the state finals, we were playing in a neutral site in Birmingham at Legion Field. So it has a lot to do. You got to watch those kids when they come in and they walk into an Alabama or Auburn or now UAB and watch them look around. Man, they're just in awe. The teams that have been there don't go through that.
You go from people being able to hear who's screaming stuff at you and not having a clue that anybody's in the stadium, probably. Well, really, you're a long ways from them.
Yeah, it's even different for coaches. The coaches are sitting there and he's not used to having to scream bloody murder, and he looks up and you better have a way to, and it's not necessarily their crowds are much better. It's just the stadium is so much larger and the sound starts carrying. You better do a good job of having hand signals to be able to get in all your offensive and defensive formations. And stuff
Ryan says over here on the comment section that he said the Miller is going to be loaded again. Only lost a few linemen, so
they got a good quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know his name, obviously. Where is Milry?
In Milry?
Where is that? That Mobile County?
Yeah, it's got to be down there somewhere on the branches of Alabama.
Well, another thing, Leroy's always been a 2A for the most part, have they not, Coach?
Yes.
Okay, yes, and then they dropped to 1A. That's not tough for them. They beat Fife in 2007 when they won it.
Well, you always have to.
It's not the only one they won.
Yeah, every year I always watch and try to see, like the teams that drop down, and we'll talk about it in a few minutes, like in 4A, Andalusia used to be 5 and they dropped down to 4. A lot of teams, when a team drops down, that they have an advantage because they've been playing against bigger and faster people.
Definitely.
Washington County. Thank you, Ryan, for the input.
Washington County.
All right, let's that's kind of 1A stuff. And speaking of 1A, let me go here and let's ring in Coach Hammon. Let's bring him on the air here. Let's see what he's got going on. I'll bring him in. Valley Head coach, Coach Hammon. Look forward to hearing from him here. We'll look at Valley Head's schedule. Talk to him. Hello.
Don't answer.
Hello.
Hey, Coach Hammon, what's going on? It's Matt. Todd, what's up?
Matt, how are you, buddy?
Good, sir. What's going on today?
Oh, just got through eating 2 big hamburgers. Now I feel like I need to go jog, but I'm probably not going to go jog. That's been in a while.
Go on, jog down Highway, Hammondville Highway there.
Mr. Dean, thanks. Yeah, you'd like to see that, wouldn't you, Mr. Dean?
You know why I want to come over.
Yeah, we're not going to go into that. We're out of fish and we're out of frogs.
Coach, thank you for spending some time to hit the live show here with us. We got Kevin Moore and Coach Short in house with us.
Well, thank y'all. Thank you for calling and thanking of us. You guys cover wide range of. I mean, it reaches out pretty good, and a lot of kids are getting exposure, and a lot of coaches, and a lot of programs, and I just appreciate y'all thinking of it.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. Bo and them goes up there some, and they're spread all over the state now. He's a man with many talents, and I'm gonna try to call him a little bit. They're still gone. I think they may be on their way back, but anyway, when with Ian going on the tear that he went on, we'll go ahead and look at y'all's schedule for next season. But with Ian's tear, I thought, he's amazing. What a good kid, and I talked to him on Instagram some, and nobody was really covering, but when Reggie or Dina would go up there, covering, I thought, why is nobody this for DeKalb News? Did they not? And I just heard through rumors and people just say, no, not really.
Yeah,
so I was
it was real quiet with him, and he's a special kid. Of course, once you get to know him, you know that, and he's a grown man that you can trust and shake hands with, and he'll do what he tells you he's going to do. But man, he was, when you get a kid that sprints out on the field for practice, and he sprints in first after practice, and he sprints out for the game. He's the first one in at halftime. He's the first one in at the end of the game, win or lose or draw. They just don't come by much. All of us that's been in this business 20 plus years, you're going to run across a handful, but you'll remember them. And it's just a handful.
That's the kind of guys you want to go to battle with. Those are the kind of kids.
You'd like to have plenty of them, they just don't come around.
Well, it showed in his numbers too. He had 4,900 yards his last 2 years, right, Coach?
Yeah, somewhere around in there. It was real special. I think at one time, don't hold me to it, but he either finished leading the state in all classifications, like 7th nationally, or one time we looked at it, and that's where he was at. And it may have been late in the year. I don't know exactly where he finished up, but he's special. And the deal is, he played quarterback in a single wing look, kind of 2 tight ends, but he wasn't like Tyler. Tyler was special. He was the same type kid.
Right.
And, with me, when I was doing offense, we dotted the I, and Tyler, there was a couple of nights Tyler carried it like 40 times.
Right.
Ian he kind of, everybody had some. Well, Hunter ended up with
12,
1,600, 12, whatever it was.
I don't know. I think it was over 12.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So you had another kid on the same team that had great numbers. So we kind of spread it around a little bit. But yeah, Ian's fun.
Yeah, he's going to be on with Beckett down there at Faulkner's. He got signed up, and we're proud of him for all that. So, without Ian, Valley Head's going to look a little bit different. Same fundamentals, and we know how you're going to coach it, and they're going to play old school football. And I had O'Brien on earlier, and he's excited to be over there and get to play you guys. Y'all will be at home to play Coosa Christian. Yeah,
we'll be home, and it's always my 2 years that we've been here. I love playing them. It's a build-up game, and he pokes fun at me. That's going to be our homecoming this year, and of course he gets on me. But I told you, I said, Coach, I want our biggest game to be homecoming. You're always our biggest game.
Right.
But the last 2 years, it's just been been really, really good football between two pretty good football teams.
Y'all had a battle last year, didn't you?
Yeah.
Lord, yeah. We went out. I'd have lost every piece of land I've got over here and every dollar in my pocket, which ain't much, but we was watching those kickers warm up before the game, and I said, "Man, they don't have they've got 4." I said, and they're kicking them over this building. I ain't never seen nothing like it in my life.
Think about kick it to Gadsden City.
Yeah, you just you got to have some luck down the road. I don't care what you're doing. The ball's got to bounce your way some, no matter how hard you work or what you do. And sometimes you can work every bit that hard, and the ball don't bounce your way. We went, I think, last year going into game 5, we had been behind at halftime all 4 games.
Right.
Well, that's hard to win off. I mean, that's pretty hard to overcome 4 games being down at halftime.
All right, guys, if y'all were stopping by and just kind of pulling into the show, we got Coach Hammon on, head coach Valley Head Tigers up there on the mountain. Coach, again, thank you for coming by. Coach Short and Kevin Moore in studio there with us. Guys, what do y'all got for Coach Hammon? Any questions or look at the schedule? What's up?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Well, Coach, I just like I said, I kind of started following you guys after your win over Coosa Christian because I have a couple of friends of mine that played on that '84 state championship team, and they were kind of hoping they were proud. They were sticking out their chest with the Valley Head shirts. And but like I said, how do you like I say? I guess at a 1A level, or didn't really matter what level. Just how do you keep the kids from being or just keep from being complacent?
Yeah.
Well, we really don't talk about complacent much. You know, I got with Coach Lamb years ago and just kind of picked his brain some, and this has been 10, 12 years ago. And he told me, he said, you ain't going to believe this. He said, but we just lift weights in June, and they go play baseball, basketball, go with their family, do whatever. He said, we really don't start football until after 4th of July. He said, and then it's kind of a slow pace. He said, we'll go 3 days. And I said, he said, well, you notice, you know, we always done our 7-on-7 over there. It was in July. He said, we don't do anything in June, Coach, but just lift. He said, that's just a couple of days a week. And, you know, I kind of stole that from him and took it to Chattooga with me when I started over there. And I don't know why, but here at Valley Head too, when November gets here, we have a group of young men that are not ready for football to be over.
Yeah.
I mean, at no point in time do I ever see our kids, and this has been going on 6, 7, 8 years now. I hadn't seen a group of kids like, well, I'm glad I'm moving on. So I'm glad this is over. We just, they really like football. And we try to keep practices short, go an hour and a half, and we don't hang out. I use the terminology all the time. Don't hang out, get out. So as soon as we're done, we don't sit around and eat sandwiches together. They get out and get away from it. So it really works for it. You know, everybody's got to find their niche that works. And lifting weights and being as big and as strong as we can be, trying to manage the game on Friday nights, along with managing the clock to give ourselves a chance to win at the end, and just trying to stay fresh all year. That seems to work for us.
You mentioned Coach Lamb, Calhoun. That shocked me when you told me that.
Oh, yes, sir.
Because I think everybody's got the impression that it's just football year round. Every day
Well,
they're throwing 7-on-7.
Todd, if you'll go back and look, we done the same thing at Chattooga, and I know you remember.
Mm-hmm.
But if you'll go back and look at Coach Lamb's run at Calhoun,
Mm-hmm.
they won in everything. They were the best wrestling team. They were the best basketball team. They were the best cheerleading squad. They were the best baseball team. They were good in everything.
Oh, yeah, they were.
And if you look back at those 6 years there at Chattooga,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we kind of won in everything.
Yes.
And people can relate it to, well, you had a run of good athletes. Well, you don't keep a run of good athletes for 6 years. And by the way, they're the same athletes, you know, that you always had.
Right, right.
And the same thing for Valley Head, you know. So I just think staying fresh, putting all the kids in the weight room. My principal's done a really, really good job with me, Corey Dupree, of allowing us to put all the kids in weights. And so you got the guy playing point guard lifting with a quarterback. And before long, you get things like we'll start, you know, we went through spring with 44 kids.
Right.
You know, I think it was 65 boys, grades 9 through 12.
Right.
So we about got everybody playing everything.
Coach, this is Coach Short. I did it for quite a while myself. My question to you is, first of all, I heard you say you had spring training. So when are you going to start?
Yes,
do you have that extra week, or did you play a game in the spring?
We played a game in the spring. You know, a place like Valley Head financially is tough. So I've tried to the last 2 years to bring in the biggest, best football teams we could for a spring game. And so last year at Valley Head, we brought in Gordon Lee and Chattooga, made over 20 grand. Our kids seen that, hey, they're not going to eat us. And then this year we played Chattanooga Christian, which is very good, and the Fife Red Devils. So, you know, we made great money again this year. So it really helps our program to be able to have a spring game financially, and for our kids to see that, hey, even though somebody's got 15 state championships, if I'll just go play, maybe I can do something good. Yeah, maybe I did do something good. So, you know, that's kind of the way we take it.
Our number one fan, Jeff Anderson, I got to ask this. He asked Coach, fundamentals, where does it rate at on your list for when you get out there and get after it?
Well, we're not as good as what we need to be. But to me, the weight room is the top. The next would be being fresh, and then fundamentals. So I mean, it's you got to be able to step. If I can get kids to step with the right foot and put their hand in the right place, then we got a chance.
Yeah, fundamentals are always important.
And on top of that, there are also in today's game, there are a lot of fundamentals you actually can teach within the weight room concept of weights, conditioning, training, speed training. There's a lot of things. When you said step with your right foot, a lot of times you got to do that in the weight room.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things power-wise.
Put a kid in a squat rack, and if he'll do that 2 days a week and get on chart and go to building, he's going to have some decent power angles if he can parallel squat. Without somebody hitting him or touching him. And
if he can power clean, I was always a big power clean guy. If he can power clean, then he can get down there and block people.
That's right. That's right. It's amazing what the weight room does when it comes fundamentally time to put on pads for practice.
Coach, tell us about your game one, North Sand Mountain. We'll get in a little bit of schedule there.
Well, last year was the first year we played them, and that they were pretty good last year. I thought. I think they're pretty good every year. Coach Kirby does a great job, and don't know a lot about them.
Yeah.
Really don't know what they lost. Don't know a lot about them.
I don't know. I know they're all right. Like you said, they're decent every year, but you got them at home, so that's going to be a little bit of advantage. But
there's not a game on the schedule that we can look over, and you like it that way, Non-region for us was North Sand section, Otter, and Collins.
That's a pretty tough non-region.
That's pretty good for a little 1A Valley school.
But like we talked in the spring, those two who you brought in to play, Fife and that Chattanooga Christian was good. Now,
they're fun to watch.
They was good.
That was. Do you think that obviously the boys seeing that is going to be a plus?
It sure helps the mentality. Because when we watch tape together, every kid on my team done something really good and correct at least once.
Right.
And in their head, they're thinking, "Man, I just done that again." The Wills kid, he made the last 5 tackles, but he didn't get that one.
Right. So he didn't make that tackle.
Yeah, it builds confidence. It really does.
Well, you're going to be at section and at Decatur now. We don't know a lot about section. We've talked about Decatur a little bit. They're always a team that's banging around that area and that region. They're always going to have a football team.
It will. Those are 3 games that could go either way. Section. Coach Edwards does a great job. I've always thought the world of Riley, and he gets a lot of kids to play. Then we go, and I like the guy over at Decatur Heritage. He's a stand-up man, and
I think he's a new. Is he a new coach? Is that right? I think.
I don't know about
change?
Decatur Heritage.
I don't
know.
I had heard through the grapevine they was, and then I heard they didn't. So I'm not real sure.
I thought they had a good team last year. I thought their quarterback was good.
He was.
I don't know if he's
running back. Yeah,
he is back. Quarterback's gone, but running back is back.
Okay.
Running back. He's a stud last year. So
then go ahead.
It's just it's a gauntlet for us. It really is.
Right. Then you go Coosa Christian, then at Otter, at Cedar Bluff.
Yeah. Cedar Bluff's always usually been that perennial team that's always been good in that region. Coach Crane he's going to take over the reins and move from offensive coordinator up sort of to be head coach. So
yes, sir. They'll still be just as good as ever.
They got some athletes.
Yes, sir. Always have.
Yeah.
70s, 80s, 90s.
Well, a lot of people say, well, they don't have athletes like they used to, but that don't mean they don't have athletes.
Yeah.
Well, there's not a dean coming through.
You got to play against Devlin Clifton. We don't have.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow,
that's
yeah,
right.
There's not many of them.
Coach, let me ask you a question. This is Coach Short again. Besides yourself, give me an idea. And I'm going to put you on the spot. And you don't have to answer if you don't want to, because I used to not answer this question to media too. How would you rank your region right now? Let's just say that if you was somebody asked you who's going to be the top 4, and we'll go ahead and put you at the top since you're speaking. We'll put you at the top. How would you rank the other ones?
I think you can put us, Coosa Christian.
Yeah.
Yep.
Appalachian. Please don't forget those guys.
They're supposed to be very good.
They've got better since day one.
Mm-hmm.
Really had us on the ropes down there. But you've got to put us. Game. Oh yeah, you got to put us, Appalachian, Coosa Christian, Cedar Bluff, Decatur Heritage, Galesville, Coach Knapp's always going to have something up his sleeve.
Coach Knapp, he'll run that crisscross on you.
Well, he's got Coach Smith over there, so they ain't no telling what they're getting off the lake.
Averages 77 yards to carry that crisscross.
That's right.
So, Coach, what you're telling me is it may be one of those years where somebody good is going to be left out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it is. That's a great way to answer it.
Definitely.
I think there's going to be a high-quality team this year not make Game 11.
We had talked. We had talked.
A winning record.
Yes, I actually, me and John Holder were talking the other night about this region and said, look, there's going to be a good football team that may be left out of the playoffs, and they might be a football team that's in the playoffs that could be 5-5, and could actually could move up to the third round of the playoffs eventually and be 5-5.
That is correct. You could take a 5-5, 6-4 team out of this region this year, I feel like. And if things come together for them, I think you could look up and say, hey, they're in the quarters.
Well, there's no way around it. Whoever's the fifth team in this region is going to be a pretty good team, and they're not going to make the playoffs. There's no, that's 100% guarantee.
Yep. So Woodville, I don't, Woodville last year, and I know they've changed coaches.
They did.
But Lord, they came to us, and if they hadn't fumbled the first 3 drives, they'd been up almost 21-0.
Wow.
Might have been the most improved team in the state.
I thought they was. And then we seen them at the weight meet, and he had 30-something kids there lifting, and I was just really impressed with them.
Yeah, you're going to finish off there, and we're fixing to call him here in just a few minutes. We'll let you get off here. Are you going to be over at the Fighting Willinghams of the Panthers of Collinsville? What about Ernie?
Well, Ernie's – Coach Willingham is I consider one of my best friends in the world, and we've always done a lot of stuff together outside of football, and I take a lot of pride in he still lets me hunt his land. So, I don't go out there and kill all of his deer like some people come get on my property.
We only got 38, Coach.
The pond is no bigger than a kiddie pool. But I think Coach Willingham and them, all their skilled kids are back. They're going to find a few linemen. He does such a great job. Kids love him. They all want to play. He's got plenty of good help. He keeps a great facility. He is Collinsville. Of course, his dad was Collinsville, and the family and John, and they're just they're stand-up guys. I mean, he's going to have a quality team every year.
Him and Teddy do a good job. And I go up there and visit with them last week one day, and they're just getting after it. And I like how Ernie still values that old school coaching, that you can get on to kids and you can hold them to a higher value and try to get the best out of them. And I enjoy that about him.
He still has a burning passion to be with kids.
Yeah, Coach Hammon, if you don't mind me asking, why are y'all having to go to Collinsville again?
We're not. They're coming to us.
Oh, okay.
Typo.
Yeah.
Okay.
We well, hold on just a minute. Don't hold me to that.
That's right. That's right.
No.
No, that's off my express. I don't mean it's right.
Coach Dean, I think I'll have to look at my schedule, but I think we are going to Collinsville.
Okay.
Coach Willingham, it was the end of the 2-year cycle.
Oh, okay.
Basically, and the way his schedule worked, he needed another home game, and I told him I could work mine out. And I think that's the case, but don't hold me to that. Ask Coach Willingham. He'll be able to tell you.
All right.
Guys, y'all have anything for Coach Hammon?
I'm good.
Okay. Coach Short?
Oh, no, I've asked 100 questions already. I'm good. I just want to tell you congratulations, Coach, because I know you're going to have another good year. Yeah. And I like the ideas about how you're playing, especially on a 1A schedule. Don't waste time. Don't spend 3 hours when you can do it in an hour and a half.
No, we sure don't. I think we're I don't know. We practiced past an hour and a half all year last year.
Wow.
Really try to play kids one way and go best on best for 20 minutes and go home.
Sounds good to me.
That's gone well for you. I mean,
it's really gone well.
That playing.
A lot of kids wanting to play.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Coach. Again, thanks for your time. Again, everybody, listeners, Coach Hammon, Valley Head Tigers. Coach, what is the 25th at North Sand Mountain? Is that your first game, or y'all going to have a little?
Yes, sir. 25th at home against North Sand will be our first one.
Yep. Y'all go up there and watch them play, man. And it's a great atmosphere to be at, especially when you get over in October. Carry your jacket with you. Go see Coach Hammon and the bunch and aggravate them, and see Coach Jody, poke him a little bit and aggravate him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Get it.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate your time.
Coach.
Well, thank y'all, and have a great evening.
You too.
You too, bud.
Bye.
All right, Coach Hammon, Valley Head Tigers guys. Y'all good on everything? You need to grab a drink or bathroom breaks? Are everybody okay?
I'm good.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, we'll keep rolling here. Let me.
Bo wants to talk to you.
I know that's what I'm fixing to do. Let's see here.
Where's he at? Miami?
Yeah, he's coming back from some